Hello, and welcome to a new, hopefully, series that I will be titling Needlessly Thorough Reviews. Today I will be reviewing the 2008 Katy Perry album, One of the Boys. I don't really have any sort of, good introduction into how this came to be the album that I will be reviewing, other than I listened to it once and I liked it. And now I've listened to the album about 50 times. So, here we go. The first song on the album, One of the Boys, is also titled One of the Boys, and it starts with Katy telling us all of the ways in which she is masculine. She sees spiders and she doesn't scream. She can burp the alphabet. When it became time to choose a hobby, she chose guitar over ballet when both were options for her. And then the song goes on to say, even though I am masculine in these ways, I still want to be perceived as a feminine being. I don't want to become one of the boys where we're just sitting and drinking beer and just hanging out. I still want you to see me as a sexual option. I still want you to see me as a woman. Throughout the song, Katy is telling us all of the ways in which she is performing femininity so that she can be seen as a feminine being. She says that she starts reading all of these magazines for women, and she starts shaving her legs, and she starts acting in a way so that she can, she's really performing her femininity, because maybe on the baseline she's a little bit more masculine in some of her likes or some of the things that she does, but she still wants to be perceived as feminine. So she is putting the effort into performing femininity. And I would argue that it's really a sense of desperation that we get in this song. She's singing so badly of this is what I know I am perceived as, this is what I want to be perceived as, so how do I live with these two things that are different from each other? How do I act in a way that moves away from this and moves towards this, because this is what I really want and this is what I'm worried that I'm being seen as. To me, this is really a song where she's kind of taking her life into her own hands, and I think it might be a little bit misguided, just a little bit, because you can have masculine characteristics and still be feminine. It almost seems like she's saying in the song that you can't be both of these things, but she's proof that you can be both of the things at the same time. So, maybe a little bit misguided. Overall, though, I do really think this is a good intro to the album. I think it really kind of eases you into things. It's not that, aggressive of a song, so it does feel like it eases you into the themes of the album. The themes such as wanting to be oneself, wanting to be comfortable in one's identity. There are definitely themes of wanting to perform for a male audience, wanting to kind of play into the male gaze, which is interesting. Again, maybe a little bit misguided, but that's another... Being misguided is a theme of the album, and this is a good intro song into that. I would rate this song an 8 out of 10. The second song on this album is, I think, the one Katy Perry song that literally everyone in the world knows, I Kissed a Girl, and maybe this is a hot take, I don't know, I'm not involved in the Katy Perry fandom, but I would say that this is the weakest song on the album. This is the worst song on the album. I Kissed a Girl, interestingly enough, has the shortest runtime, it's the shortest song on the album, and it was also written, I looked very briefly at the Wikipedia, it looks like it was written by the most people, the most people contributed to the writing of the song compared to every other song on the album, and you got all those brains together, and this is what you came up with? This was, obviously supposed to be a single, and it was the first single released from the album as a single, and it's not great. It's not great. The whole point of the song is Katy Perry kissed a girl and she liked it. The taste of her cherry chapstick. And that's pretty much it. It's very repetitive. I kissed a girl and I liked it. I kissed a girl and I liked it. That's pretty much all that the song offers musically, so it's really a boring song to listen to. Lyrically, there's not much there. Theme-wise, we could maybe argue that this is someone exploring her sexuality, but also not really, because the way that she sings about being with a woman, it doesn't seem like being with a woman in any sort of actually sexual way. One of the lyrics from the song is, "You're my experimental game, just human nature," where Katy Perry seems to be saying, like, we as human beings are sexual beings, and I am experimenting with my sexuality with a woman. But then she later goes on to sing, "Ain't no big deal, it's innocent." Meaning, like, she's not actually seeing these experiences as, like, explorations of her sexuality. She's just seeing it as, like, oh, we're girls, you know what girls do sometimes? Girls kiss each other. It's very, like, straight woman gets drunk and wants to show her friends that she loves them, but she's not sure how to do that other than kissing them. But it's not like she's actually exploring her sexuality. It's not like she's actually trying to, like, question, like, am I bisexual? Could I be interested in having relationships with women? It's just, this is what girls do. Melodically, I think it's uninteresting. Lyrically, I think it's uninteresting. Overall, the song is just not very good. And this is one of Katy Perry's, I'm assuming, most listened to songs because it was like, oh my god, it's scandalous. Like, she's talking about kissing a woman. But it's really not talking about kissing a woman in a gay way. It's still very straight. And I can't really describe that or explain that other than this is really giving the vibes of, like I said, a drunk straight girl at a party, wants to show her friends that she loves them, doesn't know how to do that other than kissing them, doesn't actually want to be with them, just wants to kiss them. And there is a lot of gray area in sexuality. I don't know what Katy Perry's sexuality actually is. I don't care enough to Google it. But even if Katy Perry is bisexual, I don't think that this song is a good, like, I'm bisexual. I think this song is really just a money grab. It exists to shock people. This came out in 2008, like I said, and it exists to shock people into thinking about women being together. Which, you know, will get some people's panties in a wad, and it will get other people to think, like, yeah, this is radical. It's not radical. It was definitely a choice for the time frame that this exists in. It's not radical. It is not some brand new shocking idea about sexuality. It is a seemingly straight woman talking about kissing her friends. I would rate this song a 4 out of 10. And now you may say, wow, the album was off to such a great start, and it just kind of went, which, yeah. But then it picks itself up pretty quickly after that. I would say immediately after that with the next song, Waking Up in Vegas. I would have to say that Waking Up in Vegas is my favorite song on the album. The song starts with slot machine sounds, which I think is so silly and whimsical because, like, you're talking about Vegas. And the whole song really is just, this is the experience of waking up in Vegas after having a night out. This is really, it's like the movie The Hangover, I think is the right movie, the one where they go to Vegas to do something and then the guy is, there's like a mattress and they're on the roof. I've only seen the movie once. I think I know what I'm talking about. But the whole experience is Katy wakes up in Vegas and she's like, okay, I'm hungover. What happened last night? And she's trying to piece together the night, and she was in Vegas with a boyfriend or partner of some sort, and she's like, wait a minute, I think maybe we got married? Like, I'm wearing your class ring? What happened to our car? Where's all our money? And it's really just like a silly, whimsical, like, imagine this experience of going to Vegas, getting so, like, having such a good time, getting so drunk, and then waking up in the morning and you have to piece everything together, and it's still, like, you're still feeling the high from the night before, where, like, you're hungover and you're miserable, but it's still like, ha, we're still in Vegas. There are a few things that I really like about the song. The first thing that I like about this song is I like the key that it's in. And I don't know enough about music theory to tell you what key it's in, and again, I don't care enough to look it up. But I think that it sounds pleasing. It sounds really good. Another thing that I like about this song is, like I said, they wake up and they're hungover, and so one of the lyrics in the song is, why are these lights so bright? And I thought that was so funny that I put this on a playlist that I started of songs that remind me of having migraines, and, like, when you have a migraine, one of the questions you ask yourself is, why are these lights so bright? So this ended up on my migraine playlist, which I thought was so funny because, like, this is a Katy Perry song. She's not singing about migraines, but, like, you could take this to be that it's about migraines. in general, I think that this is just a really fun song. Like I said, it starts with the slot machine sounds, so you get something more interesting than just like instruments or vocals. I think the lyrics are really funny. Like, you get her trying to figure out what happened. Like, why am I all of a sudden wearing your class ring? Why is this person dressed up as Elvis? Like, it really gives you the experience of, this is what I imagine Vegas would be like. Even if you've never been to Vegas, you can be like, yeah, that is exactly what Vegas is like. That is what happens in Las Vegas. It's a really fun song, and I think it really kind of saves the album from I Kissed a Girl, because it's like so incredibly different and so much better. This song was also released as a single off the album, and I don't think it's necessarily like one of her most popular singles, but I do think it is, like, having it released as a single was a good idea, because I think that this is a much better this song, I mean, I haven't listened to Katy Perry's entire discography, but I do think that this song is a better reflection of her discography than I Kissed a Girl. I think I Kissed a Girl is a money grab and shallow and hollow, whereas Waking Up in Vegas is fun and flirty and, like, she's thriving. I would rate this song a 10 out of 10. The next song on the album is titled Thinking of You. If you're on TikTok at all, you know this song. Even if you don't think you know this song, this is the song that a lot of people used fairly recently, within the past like 2 years, to make fun of the way Katy Perry sings. This is the song that has the... Let me sing it as Katy Perry. You're like an Indian summer in the middle of the winter. This is that song. I think this song is, fine. I wouldn't necessarily say I support, like, the messaging behind it, but as a song, like, it's fine. This song is Katy Perry existing in a relationship, and she is reflecting on how a previous relationship or a previous lover of some sort was much better. And she says, how am I supposed to exist here when this is all that I really want? When I've already experienced perfection, how can I come to this and be happy? The whole song is just, I am in a relationship with this person, but all I really want is to be in a relationship with this person. And I feel kind of bad about myself because of that, because every time that I go to kiss this person, all that I feel is that I'm kissing this person. This person is the only thing on my mind, and I feel bad about that. It's almost like a sense of self-hatred that she has. There's one lyric where she says, he pulled me in, referring to this person, the new person, and I was disgusted with myself because all she could think about was the other person. It's like a sense of self-hatred of, like, I know that this is not what I'm supposed to be feeling in a relationship. I know that I'm not supposed to just be reflecting on a previous relationship. I should be engaging in this new relationship and trying to make things work. But really all that I can think about is what I had previously. And she hates that. She hates that that is what she is feeling. And in addition to hating how much she exists in this relationship, she also hates that she let her previous relationship go. There's another lyric in the song that goes, I do regret how I could let myself let you go. So she's saying that she essentially kind of gave up and said that this relationship was everything that she wanted, but the other person maybe didn't feel the same way, and she just said, okay, that's fine. I will let you go. And so then she moved on to this other relationship, and she's like, wait, no, this is actually not at all what I wanted. I would like to go back. So I can't exactly say that I get behind the messaging of the song of being with someone who you don't particularly like and just reflecting on previous relationships. I think there is something to be said about being in a new relationship and kind of mourning the loss of a previous relationship, but this goes beyond mourning. This is just straight up, I am not happy with where I am, and I don't think there's any way that I can overcome that. I am just kind of sad, and I feel gross, and I hate myself because of it. Like, there's no attempt to overcome or like even really try in this new relationship. It's just my mind is so set on this previous relationship that that is all that I will think about. Not great messaging. The song is fine. I think it's fine. I do think that this is definitely a song that you can hear, this is Katy Perry singing because of the way that she sings it, and she will say, I don't sing like that, guys, or whatever she said in her one concert when she sang this, but like, Katy Perry kind of sings like that. Overall, I would rate this song a 6 out of 10. The next song on the album is, again, kind of a weaker song. It's titled Mannequin, and this whole song is Katy Perry is in a relationship with a man, and she is realizing that the man is like shallow and hollow and just kind of like a shell of a human in a way that like he doesn't really care for her. He doesn't really care what's going on. And she is essentially accusing him of not being a man, but of being a mannequin. Like, doesn't have a heart or any organs. It literally is just like the outline of a person. She's really saying that this person who she's in a relationship with or she's dating is really lacking a sense of like humanness, and Katy knows that she wants better than that, and she's not exactly sure how to get better than that other than just saying like, I can't believe that this is what you are. This is what you are, just like a shell of a human. Like, you don't have a heart. You're just a mannequin. You just kind of stand there and exist near me. This is a song where she's trying to force change, where she's like, okay, I know that this is not what I want. I want something else. So I'm going to try and force you, a mannequin, to be better. I'm trying to force you into being human. And that's like a fruitless endeavor because it's never gonna happen when you're dating someone who's like that. Like, you can't just fix them. But she's really trying to force them to be something other than what they are because she's not getting what she needs in the relationship and she thinks that she deserves better. Which I would argue that anyone deserves better than a man who has no heart and is just kind of like the shell of a human. Anyways, it is one of the weaker songs on the album. Like, it's pretty much her just saying, like, you're basically Pinocchio. Like, you're just made of wood and you're not a real boy. You don't have the capacity to feel emotions in the way that humans do, and I think I deserve better than that. But, like, why then are we still trying to force the change? Why are we trying so hard to make this man not a mannequin when we could just find someone else? This kind of feels like a filler song. Like, she just had the idea once, like, you're not a man, and she was trying to think like, well, what are you? What else starts with man? Mannequin. And she just kind of ran with it, which, like, it's fine, I guess. This particular song I would rate a 5 out of 10, so like, it's not very good. It has I don't even want to say it has a purpose on the album because I don't think it necessarily does. I think you could take this song out of the album and it would just be a little bit shorter of an album. But I still don't think it's the worst song on the album. I'm still going with the worst song on the album is I Kissed a Girl because it's just not very good. The next song on the album, you're gonna have to bear with me a little bit because I have a lot of thoughts and I don't want to say anything that sounds ridiculous, but what I'm gonna say is about to sound ridiculous. So the next song on the album is titled You're So Gay. And this song takes a whole bunch of stereotypes about gay people and says that, like, this is what a gay person is. So the song is essentially Katy is in a relationship with this person and the person, like, just really doesn't feel the same way. And so the only explanation that Katy has in this relationship for why this man doesn't like her is, well, obviously, if you don't like me, the only possible explanation is that you are gay. And she goes on to, like, read him to filth, essentially. She's like, you wear H&M, you're so skinny, you're a vegetarian, you drive electric cars, which is everything that you're like, is this being gay? Shopping at H&M? I don't think that's necessarily a gay activity, but she's just like, this is gay. Like, you know that clip from, Glee, where what's her name? Sue Sylvester is like, I don't even know if it's actually a clipping. I've never seen Glee. I've only seen clips of it on Tumblr. But where she's like, you don't get to decide if you're gay, I do, or whatever the quote is. Like, that's kind of the vibe that I get from this song, where Katy is like, obviously you don't like me, and the only explanation for not liking me is that you must be gay, and I can back up that with the evidence that you're gay because you shop at H&M, you wear scarves, you drive electric cars, like, all of these things that aren't inherently gay, but, like, I guess you could put them together and put together, like, a stereotype of a gay man, but, like, not really. But the reason that I said that you would need to bear with me when I talk about this song is because I think it's pretty good. If I had to describe it in one word, I would say that this is camp. And I had to Google the definition of camp because, like, it's one of those things that I understand, but when I try and explain it to someone else, like, I'm not exactly sure what words I would use. So the Urban Dictionary definition that I found of camp is so bad it's good, except it's gay. And, like, yeah, that is what this is. And it's important to remember that this song is a product of its time. This came out in 2008, nearly 20 years ago. And that was a time where it was maybe more socially acceptable to use gay as like a, that's so gay, you're so gay, in a way that's like derogatory and bad, but also when gay people reclaim it, like, it's kind of funny. It's kind of camp. It's campy. And again, I don't know Katy Perry's sexuality. She very well could be a bisexual or pansexual woman and is using this in like a ironic, campy kind of way. Or she could just be using this as a straight woman in the mid to late 2000s, using That's So Gay because that's what other people did. Regardless, I like this song the way I think a gay man would like this song. Who would just be like, yes! You're so gay, yeah, electric cars, and what else does she say? H&M, woo! This is definitely not a song I would play for, like, a woke audience, whatever woke means to you. Because, like, it is fairly problematic, but at the same time, like, it's kind of camp, and it kind of has a place in the queer canon. I would rate this song an 8 out of 10. The next song on the album is another song that I think, like, most people would know, or anyone who is, like, at least somewhat familiar with Katy Perry's discography would be like, yeah, I know that song. It's the song Hot and Cold. Not and, Hot and Cold. This is another one of the huge hits from the album. This was released as a single, and it tells the story of Katy Perry in a relationship. That's a common theme on this album, is just Katy Perry's in a relationship and she's trying to figure out the relationship. So she's in a relationship with this person, and this person just flip-flops all of his opinions, all of his wants, all of his needs, and she's just like, I don't even know what to do with this. I don't know how to interact with you when everything that you're doing is one thing one day and then the complete opposite the next day. You're hot and then you're cold. You're yes and then you're no. This is another song which is like, melodically it's a little bit on the uninteresting side, but I think that it's a really good song. I really enjoy listening to it. You really get this is another one where you can kind of really feel the desperation of, why isn't this working? Why is everything not what I need it to be? Everything is the exact opposite of what it needs to be for me in this relationship. You really get the desperation of Katy Perry wanting the relationship to work, but she can't work with everything as the opposite of what it needs to be. And she doesn't enjoy that. She doesn't enjoy the experience of everything being the opposite of what it needs to be, of not getting her needs met in the relationship. But she's singing about it in such just like upbeat song that you're just kind of like, yeah, yeah. This one isn't self-pity. There are other songs on this album that I think are really Katy Perry is pitying herself, and this one is more of a, are you joking? Like, I can't believe that I have to deal with this, and I think after the song she would probably come to realize, like, so I'm not gonna deal with this. I am going to say goodbye, I think is what we are supposed to get from this song, of Katy Perry saying, no, I am not going to put up with this. And I mean, you do get the desperation of, I really want this to work, but it's like the tone of the song is still, this is absurd, that this is what I have to deal with, and so I am going to say goodbye and find something better. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate this song a 9. The next song on the album is called If You Can Afford Me, and this is really like I know my worth, I know what I'm worth, and I am not going to compromise because I know what I'm worth. This whole song is Katy Perry singing about how she is open to the idea of being in a relationship with a man, but that man needs to know what she's worth because she knows what she's worth. The whole song is her saying, yes, I am open to the idea of being in a relationship, but you need to actually try in the relationship if you want to be with me. And she kind of sets some ground rules. She says, I'm not a piece of ass, a one-night stand, a storage shed, which is an interesting analogy. And she also says, stop begging, I don't put out for charity. So she's saying that like begging won't get through to her. She's not just a one-night stand. She's not interested in that. She is more than that. If you, the man who is pursuing her, wants to come after her, you need to see her as more than these things, more than a storage shed, more than just a one-night stand. She is not interested in that particular kind of interaction. She is interested in a relationship. I enjoy it. I like this song. I think it's a good, like, girl boss, girl power, like, yes, I have standards, and I would like you to respect those standards. I would like the next partner, whoever that may be, to respect me, which is like the bare minimum, but it's also something that you maybe don't necessarily hear all of the time in pop music, so it's like refreshing, I would say, to be like, yes, I am a woman, I know what I'm worth. I would rate this song an 8 out of 10. The next song on the album is called Lost, and it is one of the worst songs on the album. For a while, I really thought that it was the worst song on the album, but then I listened to it again last night, and I thought, well, there is like a very slight level of deepness here that moves it up just a smidgen from I Kissed a Girl. Like, it's just marginally better than I Kissed a Girl. Lost is like the one ballad on the album. It's Katy Perry really slowing down and getting all like emotional, and the lyrics are so boring. They're so boring. It seems like half of the lyrics are just, I'm so lost. Like, okay, we get it, you're lost. But listening to the song again with newer ears, what I realized is that I missed the context at the very beginning of the song. At the very beginning of the song, we get the context of Katy Perry is drunk at a party, throwing up in the bathroom. There's just kind of like party supplies all around her. There are people banging on the door to get in. And in that moment, she's realizing, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I getting drunk at this party and throwing up in the bathroom? Period. And so her being lost is less of like I'm just lost in general. It's very specifically, I'm lost in this environment. I'm in this environment where like we party and we have a good time, but I'm not having a good time. I feel bad about what's happening right now, and I know everything that I need to know to get out of this and to not have this experience, but I'm not willing or not ready or not able to do those things yet. This is a song where she's really like, I am no longer in my hometown. I have found this new home, and it's this new home's fault. It's this town's fault. It's not my fault that I feel like this. I'm trapped here, but I can't go back home because it'll just be more of the same. And so she's like, I need to get out of here. How do I get out? How do I pick up and move on? And she knows what she needs to do. She needs to pick up and move on, but she's either not willing or not ready to do that. So she's just kind of stuck, and she just feels lost. And this is the song that, like, I'm kind of angry about, I would say, because I think the messaging is fine. Like, I think it's fine to have the experience. I think it's really normal, actually, to have the experience of feeling lost and feeling stuck in your life. And it's just delivered in this, like, poorly composed, melodically boring, musically uninteresting song. Like, are you kidding? This is what we get for all of these big emotions? I'm so lost. I'm so lost. I'm so lost. Like, that's it. That's all that we get. The themes are very interesting. They're very interesting themes to take into consideration, like the mental health struggle. And the song just doesn't do it justice. Like, this song is just bad. The lyrics are bad. The lyrics don't really bring up any emotions other than just like, I am ready for this song to be over, which that's not really an emotion. That's just a thought. I mean, I guess the emotion is like, done. I am done with this. We have 3 more songs to talk about, but my camera battery is about to die, so give me a second here to switch that out. What is going on with my hair? New camera battery in, I'm ready to go. The next song, Lost, I would rate a 5 out of 10. The next song on the album is titled Self-Inflicted. Self-Inflicted is an interesting song to me because she's bringing together a few different themes of the album. She's bringing together the theme of I'm in this relationship that's not really good for me. She's bringing in the theme of I know what I'm worth. And she's mixing them together in a way that's like, that's the conclusion that you came to? That one? So she's in this relationship that is like young love, that she really wants to work and she wants it to, like, she's doing anything to make this relationship work. But the relationship is inherently toxic and bad for her. And so instead of thinking this relationship is inherently bad and toxic for me, I should move on, the conclusion she comes to is this relationship is inherently bad and toxic for me, but I'm gonna stay in it, and I know that I am being hurt, but like, sometimes that's just what you need in a relationship, just to be hurt a little bit. What? So she's singing about how in this relationship, the person who she's with is bad for her. And she knows that this person is bad for her, but she's willing to put up with it. One of the lyrics in the song is, with each scar, there's a map that tells a story. What a souvenir. And like, maybe if you're getting scars from this relationship, we should really rethink everything. But again, that's not the conclusion that she comes to. The conclusion that she comes to is, I am being scarred in this relationship, but the scars tell a story. And that story is, I'm not exactly sure, but she thinks that the story is worth the hurt. And so she is willing to continually be hurt in the relationship. My alarm's going off. I have to go pick up my Sam's Club order soon. She's continually being hurt in the relationship, but she's okay with that. And yeah, that's the song. One of my notes here is, I guess it's empowering because she is making like her own decisions. She is saying, like, this is what I want, even though it's like, maybe we should want better for you, Katy. But, I mean, I guess it's empowering. This brings the theme in of empowerment, and it's, there are other songs on the album that do empowerment a lot better. And this is attempting empowerment, and it sort of succeeds, but it's really just confusing. It's a little bit confusing of why are you are choosing to be in a relationship which hurts. Why do you want that? And in spite of everything I just said, like, I think the song is fine. I think the song is pretty good. I would give it a 7 out of 10. This is a really upbeat song. A lot of the album is really upbeat. And even though she's singing about things that you're like, what? You just get behind the upbeatness of the songs and you're like, yeah, okay, I guess. It's definitely not what I would do. If I were in a relationship that hurt me, I think I would want to be out of that relationship. but she is accepting the scars as necessary, which, I don't know, to each their own, I guess. The penultimate song on the album is titled I'm Still Breathing, and it is, I would say, kind of the culmination of a lot of different themes from the album. So I'm Still Breathing is essentially a breakup song, but it is a I survived the breakup. This is a really interesting song because we get Katy Perry kind of saying, I am doing all of these self-destructive things, and I recognize that they are self-destructive and dangerous. Like, I turn the gas on, I leave candles burning, I go and walk alleys late at night, and I recognize that these are things that are bad for me, but I'm still alive. I'm still here. She's kind of criticizing herself in this relationship, like saying, I am a large part of the reason that we broke up, or I am the reason that we broke up. But I'm also ready to move on. She's saying that she's kind of gotten to the end of her rope, and she has participated in all of these self-destructive tendencies, and she is done with it. Like, she has gotten to this point where she has done all of these self-destructive things. She recognizes that the things that she has done is self-destructive, and she's cried enough about it. She has, quote, shed my last tear. She is over the relationship at this point, and she has just decided to move forward. So this song kind of brings in a few different themes from the album. This definitely still brings in the theme of being self-destructive and not wanting good enough for oneself. This brings in the themes of being in a relationship and wanting better, and this also brings in sort of the empowerment of, like, I am now going to seek out better. This song is really interesting to me because it makes me wonder if Katy Perry has OCD, because a lot of the things she's talking about, the self-destructive tendencies she's talking about at the beginning of the song, really sound like OCD intrusive thoughts. Like the very first lyric, I leave the gas on. It's almost like a question that someone with OCD would ask themselves over and over and over again. Like, did I leave the gas on? Did I leave the gas on? Did I leave the gas on? I need to check if I left the gas on. And then she talks about, like, leaving a candle burning, which is another thing that someone with OCD would be like, did I leave that candle burning? I left the candle burning. I left the candle burning. I need to go blow out that candle or something bad's gonna happen. Here's the thing. In the next song on the album, she talks about being prescribed Ritalin, which is prescribed for ADHD. And there is a lot of overlap in symptoms between ADHD, OCD, and autism. It's kind of like a trio. So, like, if you have one, it's not saying that you have another, but, like, it's much more likely that you will have the other than someone who has none of these things. They're comorbidities. And so it makes me wonder, like, I assume because she mentions being on Ritalin that she has ADHD. Does she also have OCD? I don't know. I guess I could Google it, but I'm not even sure if that's something that she would be, like, public about having, because, like, it's not a pleasant disorder. It's a disorder. But anyways, back to the song itself. The song itself isn't great. It's fine. I would give it a 6 out of 10. I do like the empowerment that comes in the song of, like, the I'm still here, I'm still breathing, I'm still moving. I don't like the self-destructive nature of things. I don't like the I am doing these things that are causing me harm in hopes that you notice. Like, I don't think that is good. I think the song itself is fine. I think it's, like, it's better than some of the other songs on the album, like, lyrically, melodically, but the themes of the song are difficult to get behind. So, like I said, I would rate the song on a scale of 1 to 10, a 6 out of 10. Now, the final song on the album is titled Fingerprints, and I would say that this in particular is the song on the album that best encapsulates the empowerment, which is a common theme throughout the album. This song is really the culmination of all of the, like, empowerment themes on the album, and is Katy Perry really saying, I am going to take the reins on my own life. I know my worth, and I am going to prove it to you. I am going to prove to you that I am worth more than what you think I am worth. And I am going to leave my mark, and I am going to be, like, fully and completely and unapologetically me. And there is one lyric in the song which you could argue is, like, kind of anti-capitalist. She says, 'cause $7.75, which, side note, The federal minimum wage has been, for many years now, $7.25. So this is $50 more than, or excuse me, 50 cents more than minimum wage. So my thought is that this specific dollar amount is either an amount that she was actually making, or California could have set a minimum wage slightly higher than federal minimum wage. This could have been the minimum wage in California in 2008. I don't know, I didn't look it up. So she says, because $7.75 isn't worth an hour of my hard-working time when you can't afford half the shit they advertise. So she is rejecting the idea that she needs to work for $7.75. She is rejecting the idea that $7.75 is a fair hourly wage. And she is saying that that is not acceptable because I still can't afford half of the things that you're advertising to me. So again, one could argue that this is Katy Perry taking an anti-capitalist stance and saying that we need a livable wage and $7.75 isn't a livable wage. It could also just be a lyric. But I like the idea that Katy Perry is actually an anti-capitalist and she believes that we should all have living wages. So this song really takes on the themes of empowerment, really takes on the themes of taking control of one's life and not living for others. It takes on the idea of we should all be paid fair wages, and it's not fair that these companies that have billions of dollars get to advertise things to me that I can't afford because I am working for those companies and they are exploiting me. Anyways, I really like this song. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. This is the only other song that I would rate a 10 out of 10. So I went through and I added up all of my ratings for each individual song, and I got an average rating of 7.16 out of 10. And if I had to rank this album as a whole, I would give it an 8 out of 10. And I think the additional bump up to the 8 is justified. I would say I like the album as a whole. I think it flows really well. I think you can see the different themes throughout the songs that all kind of culminate at the end of the album. I think the end of the album flows really well back into the beginning of the album. Like, once Fingerprints ends and then you get back into One of the Boys, like, it flows really smoothly. There are a lot of themes in this album that I really like. I really like the themes of taking control of one's life, of fighting for what you need in a relationship, for fighting for your own self-worth. There are some themes that I can't exactly get behind. There are some lyrics that I can't get behind, and some of the songs are just kind of boring musically. They're not very interesting, but I think that the album as a whole really works very well together. This album made me think about a lot of different things. This made me think about the use of the phrase "you're so gay" or "that's so gay," which, interesting thing to think about after listening to a musical album, but definitely something worth considering, how that phrase became a phrase and how it kind of disappeared. I would say rightfully so, goodly so. But this album also made me think about, like, mental health struggles. This album made me think about how do you move forward in relationships if you're not getting your needs met? This album made me think about, is Katy Perry actually an anti-capitalist? This album made me think about a lot of different things, which is a lot more than I expect from pop music. From pop music, I expect, like, the kind of things that you get in I Kissed a Girl. A boring, repetitive, unmeaningful song. But a lot of the album actually has quite a bit of meaning in the songs. I think it is a very good pop album. I very much enjoy it. And I wouldn't consider myself, like, a huge pop listener. Like, of course I listen to pop music. It's popular for a reason, but it's not my preferred genre. But this album makes me... Ooh, my Sam's Club order is ready. But this album makes me think, like, maybe some of the pop artists are a little bit more complex than I realize. I will say, I tried to listen to the next Katy Perry. This is Katy Perry's debut album as Katy Perry. I tried to listen to her next album, and I did not like it as much. There was a song called Peacock, where she just repeats, "I want to see your peacock, cock." And that is, that's something. I am disappointed at how Katy Perry's discography went after this. I do think she still has some bangers in her later discography. The One That Got Away, I love that song very much. TGIF is a pretty good song. Even like Dark Horse, like, I guess I like the song Dark Horse. Like, she does have some good songs after this album, but I do think that this album, it was her peak. Which I wouldn't say this album was her peak, like, in her musical career. Like, she's exploded after this album, but I think lyrically, musically, melodically, this album was Katy Perry's peak. I don't know if she will ever be able to do something as good as this album again. And I don't think I'm gonna actually listen to the rest of her discography because I don't really care anymore, because, like, listening to Peacock Cock Cock was enough for me. So I will just listen to this particular album over and over again and think about all of the things that it made me think about. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any ideas of things that you would like needlessly thorough reviews on, let me know. I already have some ideas, but they're going to take a while. I mean, look how long I talked about a 45-minute album by Katy Perry, of all people. But I have some ideas, and I hope that this series will continue, because I have some ideas.